comments, indicating the NPP would never hand over power to the NDC when he addressed party faithful at Kwewun Price over the weekend. Here is NDC's Director of Legal Affairs, Abraham Amaliba.
Not about to tell the police how to do their work. We'll give them a certain reasonable time. Failure to act on it, we will now take the next step. And the next step, we have copied this to various institutions and very important personalities in this country. We'll take up the matter with them. We'll let everybody know in this country that the police administration is beginning to be choosy and the police administration is beginning to be biased.
You heard the Director of Legal Affairs of the NDC, Abraham Amaliba, but the national organizer of a new patriotic party has justified the utterances of a former Minister of National Security. He has also been chronicling some of the comments made by former President John Mahama, which he says have the potential of undermining the country's peace.
We have finalized a petition to be submitted to the Ghana Police Service, the CID department, for the arrest, investigation and prosecution of the former President John Dramani Mahama for comments he's made which has violent tendencies. And you recall that he said that for the NDC they were born out of the revolution, and we know what the features of the revolution is.
You had there Henry Nana Boachi. He is the organizer of the NPP. In the last few minutes, he has filed a petition with the police CID to invite former President John Mahama and the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esidun Ketia, for a probe on some comments he describes as having the potential of undermining the country's democracy. And you know that in the last few days, this has been a subject which has generated a lot of controversy. The National Peace Council has spoken, says it is inviting the leading political parties into a meeting to address the tensions.
Political leaders will be brought back here as soon as possible to look at all the things that they are saying. And we show them, you have said this has said that, that has said that, that has said that. And it's not helping us. Sometimes some of these things come as a reaction to what some other people have said. But because it's current, you are likely to forget the others. But for the Peace Council, we are compiling all of those. And we want to place it before all of them. That look, these are the things you guys are saying. We all sat here and agreed that we need to be careful. And if all of us have agreed on those things, we expect all players to be mindful of what we have said and abide by those things so that we don't go out making statements that incite the public.
You had the chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Jemfi. It is unclear when this meeting is expected to happen, and we also will be getting the details of that statement. Let's speak to Deputy Communications Director of the NPP, Ernest Owusu Bempa. Thank you for joining us, Ernest. So beyond the call or demand for the police to invite former President John Mahama and Johnson Esidun Ketia, what more is the party seeking?
Hello? I can't hear you properly,
I'm asking, beyond the demand or call on the police to invite former President John Mahama and chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esidun Ketia, what more is your expectation of a police CID on this matter?
Of course, we expect the police to take the matter up and make sure that the due process takes place, taking it to the next level where investigation will be conducted. And then prosecution probably will take place, because we expect a peaceful country with our sovereign people, and Ghanaian people expect that the country's democracy will be retained or maintained. And if you expect you see a former president talking like this, inciting his own party people against the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and speaking as if Ghana will bend the next day, that the NDC comes from a revolutionary background, and that when it comes to unleashing of violence, they are top-notch when it comes to that. And we know the atrocities that was meted to us during the days of the revolution. And nobody want to hear that. Nobody want to hear that. So in effect, the former president is trying to incite his party full soldiers to go out there and perpetuate violence on the people of Ghana, and for that matter, NPP. That is what happened when their youth organizer in Swami said and, emphasized on the former president's statement, saying that if you see an NPP person, because of elections.
And Mr. Bempa, some have questioned the timing of your petition because in the last few days, the conversation has been ignited because of a comment made by your own colleague, the Minister for Agri, and many have condemned that and described it as incendiary. Why the timing, though?
Let me ask you a question. Brian Achampong and John Dramani Mahama, who has that kind of pedigree in this country that's supposed to be having a lot of following, that when they say something, it carries a lot of weight. The two of them, a former president of the Republic of Ghana, we are talking about here. Let's call a spade a spade.
It doesn't answer the question about the timing, sir.
And we are saying that Section 180270 of the Criminal Offence Act of 1960, Article 29, respectively, it says it clear. What John Mahama said is reckless and is against the criminal code, and he must be arrested.
And Mr. Bempa, I still ask the question about the timing of this because Mr. Mahama's comments, if they are anything to go by, as you claim, may have been made many, many months ago. The comments in question now, according to many civil society groups, the Peace Council and all these other groups, has to do with what Brian Achampong had mentioned.
Hello? Does it really matter? The former president made a categorical statement, a statement that can destroy the peaceful coexistence, destroy our democracy, and destroy the country's peace. And that is what we are talking about. Brian Achampong's statement was in reaction to John Dramani Mahama's reckless statement, to Asiedun Ketia's reckless statement on what happened the other day. And that's what we are talking about.
All right. So the Peace Council has said it is inviting you, leadership of the NPP and the NDC, to cease fire. Are you availing yourself as a party for this meeting?
Where were the Peace Council when the former president made such a reckless statement? Where were the Peace Council? When they in this country, when the former president was saying that NDC come from a revolutionary background? Where were the Peace Council when Asiedun Ketia said that they will fight with their blood? They will fight even if they will kill human beings to take power. Where were they? Where were they when that small boy living in Swami made those statements that they will smash and kill and slander MPP party sympathizers?
We'll leave it here, Mr. Bempa. You cannot also describe anybody as a small boy. Joining me on the other line is Felix Kwachio Fosu. He is a former minister under the John Mahama administration. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Felix Kwachio Fosu. You've heard from Ernest Owusu Bempa. The NPP has petitioned the CID over the comments and say they want the arrest of John Mahama and your party chairman. Your quick reactions.
Oh, it's a big joke. A complete waste of everybody's time. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that you would even spend any time on such a useless petition. What exactly is it that they are petitioning against? Everybody knows that this is nothing more than an attempt to, as it were, deflect the public criticism that has been heaped on Brian Achampong after his reckless comments over the Easter holidays. And Ghanaians have taken umbrage particularly because it is Brian Achampong, who is widely believed to have masterminded the terrorist attack on innocent people during the Ayawaso West Wagon by-elections, which led to the maiming and injury of several people who have had to live with the scars and bruises of that particular dastardly episode. So it is within that context that Ghanaians have been alarmed by his statements. But we in the NDC are unfazed. We are prepared to stand toe-to-toe with the MPP and ensure that to the extent that Ghanaians vote for us and give us a mandate to govern, no earthly force will deprive us of that particular mandate. That we can assure the MPP and their bunch of rabble-rousers who believe that they can misgovern the country in the way they have done, mismanage our affairs, plunder the public purse, plunge us into economic crisis, render us bankrupt, and still go ahead to rig elections whilst we in the NDC stand alone. That will never happen.
Mr. Kwachio Fosu, I know Mr. Mahama has been touring some parts of the eastern region, attempting to galvanize the vote of the people to lead the party in 2024. Do you have any indication whether his camp is shaking at all by all of this?
As I said, we in the NDC are unfazed. We are unfazed at all by these threats. Look, when the people of Ghana vote overwhelmingly for President Mahama in 2024, there is no earthly force, and certainly not the MPP, that can deprive him of that particular mandate. Whatever it takes to ensure that that mandate is protected and secured, the NDC will do. So these ravings and rantings from Brother Champo and his ilk will do very, very little to shake our confidence. We are certain in our minds that given the appalling governance that the MPP has offered and their total inability to get anything right in government, which has led to the suffering of millions of Ghanaians, they will be booted out in 2024 at the earliest opportunity. And once that happens, we in the NDC stand ready to protect the mandate that the people of Ghana will bestow on us.
And Mr. Felix Kwachofosu, quickly and briefly for me, the Peace Council has said I will extend an invitation to leadership of both parties to attempt to chart a path forward and a ceasefire. Is the NDC availing itself for this meeting?
The Peace Council should stop behaving this way. They should simply call out the MPP and condemn them. That is all that they need to do. We in the NDC have said nothing. We have done nothing that indicates that we are going to undermine the peace and security of this country. We are also not in government. It is the MPP that is in government that has shown signs that they are prepared to kill during the election. So if Brana Champon has made reckless comments, let the Peace Council go ahead and call him out and condemn him. If they have any advice, let them give it to him. They should not rope in the NDC and pretend that there is some exchange between the two parties, when that is not the case. We have merely brought Brana Champon's comments to the attention of the Ghana Police Service, and we expect them to act. That is the end of the matter.
All right, thank you very much, Felix Kwachofosu. He is a former minister under the John Mahama administration. They're speaking to us. We appreciate that you could join us on this subject. Let's take a step away from politics now. This afternoon, some nurses and midwives are preparing to leave the country despite a United Kingdom alert against active recruitment of staff from Ghana, Nigeria, Angola, Cameroon, and 50 other countries. This announcement was made by the UK government in its revised Code of Practice for International Recruitment of Health and Social Care Personnel in England, which was published on the National Health Service Employers website. Titled Code of Practice, Red and Amber List of Countries, the UK said the list is based upon the World Health Organization's Workforce Support and Safeguard List 2023 and will be uploaded or updated alongside progress reports on WHO Global Code implementation. Sarah Paku has been putting together the latest.
In March this year, the WHO included Ghana and 54 other countries on its health workforce support and safeguard list, stating that these countries face the most pressing health workforce challenges related to universal health coverage. Already, the Ghana Medical Association has expressed worry over the alarming level of brain drain situation in the health sector.
There are several ways in which we can help to ensure that at least these doctors stay within country. We know that a lot of people have left, a lot more people have left. We don't have the numbers, and a lot more are preparing to leave.
This red alert has thus come as an intervention to check the situation, but the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association has some reservations.
It will not stop migration. Nurses will continue to go to UK. They will continue to go to different parts of the world because UK is actively not recruiting, but individuals can still apply and be recruited into UK. The main reason why nurses and midwives are leaving the shores of Ghana is because of their conditions. So if government will heed to the plight of the union, the association, to improve on the living conditions of nurses and midwives, I think it will cut down on the migration issue.
Well, some healthcare groups have shut down the UK advice, insisting they cannot stop their members from seeking better opportunities outside Ghana. You heard the Deputy PRO of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association ending Sarah's report. But what is the sense among the care groups and the individual members? Let's hear from one of the nurses who has been speaking to us.
If I am given the opportunity to work outside, I'll gladly say yes, because the system is working 24/7. When you compare their salary to Ghana, you could see there is a vast difference in the sense that Ghana, my 1 year salary is just a month's salary at UK. So imagine I'm working just an hour and I'm earning like £35 an hour. You can just imagine 12 hours per day, and you are running it for 4 days. Then you go for your off, and with that off duty, you can also go for a home care and also work and maybe take £20 an hour. So you can just imagine the salary I'll receive. In less than 3 years, I think I can buy a house at Trazako, buy my luxury car, and also fund or assist my family in terms of finances. So, of course, yes, I'll definitely go.
You heard that one of the nurses speaking to us, Isaac Ofei-Bans, Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Health. We'll be engaging him shortly. Thank you for joining us, sir. But let's hear from Dr. David Tinkran-Chum. He's the General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Briefly.
Salaries of nurses and midwives in Ghana is nothing to write home about. There is no condition of service in terms of food allowances or accommodation allowance, rent allowance, or anything. Anything that went for nurses and midwives years back had been removed. I remember nurses had something we call car waiver, and once were able to raise a little amount of money and you got car, bought from outside or imported a car from outside, you were, going to take that car out of the place without paying duties.
You heard that Dr. David Tinkran-Chum. He's the General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Let's get on the other line now. Public Relations Officer, Ministry of Health. Thank you for joining us, Isaac Ofei-Bans. You've heard the concerns that have been raised about the exodus of healthcare staff, especially midwives and nurses from Ghana to the UK and other parts of the country. Is it too late to do something about it at this time? Because they raise concerns about the poor conditions of service they work under here in Ghana. I'm afraid our connection to Isaac Ofei-Bans has been truncated. We are working to raise him back on the line to engage him on this particular subject, because we know that individual healthcare providers, the nurses and midwives, have said they would not pass up an opportunity to leave the country if they have the chance to do so, because among other things, in some areas in Ghana, the healthcare systems are broken. There are no facilities to aid the delivery of healthcare. There are no equipment in some other areas. And then there are also a good number of healthcare staff who remain unemployed. Hopefully, Isaac Ba will hear us this time. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I was asking earlier whether it is too late at this time to do anything to deal with their brain drain. Hello, Mr. Ba. Hello, Mr. Ba. Mr. Ba. I'm afraid we cannot get through to Isaac Ba there, but you want to trust that we will be trying one more time to engage him. In the course of time, we will speak to him on this subject. But on to another subject that has generated some controversy in the last few days. Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, Sam George, says identity theft is on the rise, urging the National Communications Authority to act swiftly to nip it in the bud. His comments come on the back of claims People's Ghana cards may have been used to register multiple SIM cards on the blind side of the applicants during the mandatory SIM re-registration process. There are calls for a seamless system to be instituted, which would allow people to remotely verify if contacts other than theirs have been linked to their Ghana card. Renowned journalist Kofi Adoma has raised the issues with the lack of a coding system to verify contacts of individuals when he alleged in a viral video his persistence with one of the telecom companies revealed his personal Ghana card may have been linked to other contacts without his consent.
My official request say I still want to know. If you say what I saw, I'm waiting for the reply. Go and find out your own. Say, numbers do was saying. They will be difficult, say they will not tell you which specific numbers, but at least they will give you total number. Opa, she say, okay, number where my number, check it. Is it connected? Or be check here no. When you see my number, check it, then you can check all and see. But I think NCA, some will take this thing up. Find out from police if you know. They are having a challenge. They track these SIM cards to people like women in
Kofi Adoma there is a journalist who had been making these claims, and the Ningo Pram MP Sam George wants the entire process halted. He has also been adding his voice to calls for a shortcode system to check the anomalies.
We had evidence that people were using people's Ghana cards to do multiple registrations without the Ghana card holders' knowledge, and that those ghost cards were being sold. That the future NDC government will have to scrap this entire SIM card register and do another registration. There are two reasons why. People's Ghana card details have literally been stolen. What has happened is identity theft. And you have this happening under the watch of the Ministry for Communications and Digitalization, which is the parent ministry for the Data Protection Commission. Citizens' data and identity has been stolen.
You had the Ningo Prampa MP Sam George, who has been speaking on this. And in the last few hours, a director of legal affairs of the National Communications Authority, Opokwe Dusay, has taken to social media to announce that the National Communications Authority is actively working on a short code for subscribers to verify the number of SIM cards associated with their Ghana cards. And as you all know, it has generated quite a number of reactions on social media. Yawa Asante is asking or writing it should have come before now, because as it stands, we do not even know how many contacts have been linked to our own Ghana cards. Anthony Dankwa says, better late than never. I would have been wondering how I could verify the number of SIM cards registered with my Ghana card just to be sure it's linked to the only SIM cards I registered for. A few more. Frederick Adai says, better to avoid a number registered in my name without me being aware than never. Kweku Pencil also said, I always thought the biometric data was going to prevent fraudulent and duplicate registrations. And those are some of the comments that have come through on this matter. Let's do a quick check on the campaign trail, because we know in the Eastern region, former President John Mahama, he's also the 2024 flag bearer hopeful of the NDC, has been touring some parts of the Eastern region, trying to get the delegates to give him a chance to lead the party into 2024. We'll touch base with our colleague who has been following the team, but let's hear from Mr. Mahama a few things he's been telling the delegates.
NDC na yenim nipa obetimi enya tumi amai 2016 almost intro energy tumi no 2020 yekomu yenim ne esiye anso yebu ye ne eguso nyame ena yi efiri mu efise wo hwe echi a na yetu amra kese bi na omodwen se ye ne ebekwa kotum ena nyame se NDC emre no so ye enti modje munjira nchen ansa omo mutu amra no omo abekwa kotum omo amra no 2020 omo akasa omo nimni omo ye omo crofobia omo boa omo ye no omo abesu a kire say ne ya ma omo ye. We know what they did, and no so eno omo gina ekase they will win 2024.
Former President John Mahama there. Let's cross over now and speak to Yvonne Nikwe, my colleague who has been monitoring the campaign trail of the former president. Yvonne, we know he's been speaking about excessive borrowing by the governing MPP, which has plunged the country into economic mess. What more has he been telling the delegates?
Well, the former president feels that a number of the systems in the country are not working. He spoke about the national health insurance, the free senior high school, cocoa industry. He feels that the governing MPP has not done well in those areas, and he should be giving the nod to ensure that he comes to a better job. Now, the former president is seeking to be elected as a flag bearer for the NDC, but his posture is not like that. He feels that he already has the nod, and so his job is to ensure that he has a maximum vote to contest whoever comes for the MPP.
And beyond what he's been saying, what's been the level of reception from the people in the areas he's been? We understand he's been to Fantiakwa North. Earlier, he was in Koforidua and many other areas in Kropong, etc.
What he observed yesterday from New Jaben South, that is a Koforidua event, and today is been fairly a good one for him, especially when these are not hardcore areas for the NDC. But of course, this is a delegate situation. But the numbers have been encouraging for him and the NDC party.
Yvonne Nikwe, my colleague there, who has been following the campaign trail of the former president John Mahama there. Now, this afternoon, the Teachers and Education Workers Union TEU of a Trades Union Congress has served notice to withdraw its services over the delay in the payment of professional and skills development allowance for its members. A statement signed by General Secretary Mark Dintra Cranche said although processes leading to the payment of the allowance have been concluded, the employer and the government side are deliberately frustrating the union's efforts in getting what is legitimately due its members. It said leadership of the union can no more hold the pressure mounting on them from their members. It noted that if no pragmatic steps are put in place towards payment of the allowances, members will withdraw their services by April 15. We know TEWU, whose members include bearers, cooks, cleaners, administrators, accountants, auditors, among others, on January 5 this year, called off their nationwide strike after a meeting with stakeholders to discuss their grievances. And just before we go, GOIL has attributed the recent fuel shortage at some of its retail outlets across the country to operational challenges occasioned by supply disruptions. Some GOIL stations experienced fuel shortages over the past few days, a situation some analysts have blamed on disruptions caused by government's oil policy. However, a statement issued by GOIL attributed the development to operational challenges. The company apologized for the inconvenience caused and revealed over 2 million liters of fuel have been dispatched to stations experiencing the shortages. The business team will bring us a lot more details on the development if you stay with us. And Nanika Mensah-Brampa will be joining us with the latest in the world of business. But if you log on to 3news.com, you find a lot more stories. There are headlines this afternoon. Political climate heats up as governing MPP and opposition NDC counter petition police CID over comments made by Brian A. Champong and John Mahama, described as insightful and intemperate. This afternoon, we asked, should the police be rising to the occasion to calm tensions, and what is the role of a peace council? Both parties have said they will avail themselves to a ceasefire, but the NDC says it has nothing to answer to. I'm sure if you are logged on to 3news.com, you find a lot more there. I am Komla. Adom, thank you for joining us. Have a good afternoon.